Hey there, garden dreamer. Sun with face. Yes, you, the one who's been staring out the window thinking, I wish my garden looked like those pictures online. Well, guess what? It can. And no, you don't need to spend a fortune or hire a landscape designer. What you do need, might already be sitting in your garage, gathering dust. Let me tell you a little story. It all started with an old, rusty bicycle. One day, a woman named Clara stood in her shed, ready to toss it out. The seat was torn, the tires flat, and the chain had long given up on spinning. But just before she hauled it to the curb, she paused. Could this be more than junk, she wondered. That question, that tiny flicker of curiosity, turned into a full-blown obsession. Within weeks, Clara's dull little backyard had transformed into a whimsical wonderland. The bicycle? It became a planter, overflowing with wildflowers and ivy, leaning gently against a tree like it had always belonged there. Sparkles. From that one spark, came 24 more brilliant, unexpected ideas, each one born from something old, forgotten, or seemingly useless. Buckets, boots, broken chairs, even a cracked birdbath found new life. So, before you throw anything away, ask yourself, could this bring joy to my garden? In this 10-part journey, we're going to unlock 25 of the most surprising, delightful, and doable garden ideas you've probably never thought of. And trust me, by the end, you'll never look at your junk the same way again. Alright, grab your gardening gloves, and maybe a cup of tea, because this next idea is as charming as it is unexpected. Hot beverage green heart. Let's talk about teacups. You know the ones. A little chipped, mismatched, maybe handed down from grandma, or just too cute to throw away. Most folks box them up or leave them behind at yard sales. But in the right hands, those delicate little cups, they become tiny worlds of wonder. Clara, remember her from part 1, had a box of old teacups collecting dust in her attic. One day, she brought them down, cleaned them up, and planted succulents inside each one. Seedling. Then she hung them from a wooden fence using simple metal hooks. Let me tell you, her guests could not stop talking about it. Each cup had its own little plant, trailing vines, fat little hens and chicks, even miniature daisies. It was like a tea party with Mother Nature herself. And here's the magic. You don't need much soil. Succulents thrive in small spaces. Add a bit of gravel at the bottom for drainage, spoon in a little cactus mix, and tuck in your plant. Done. Sparkle's bonus idea. Drill a small hole in the bottom, very carefully, and string them up like wind chimes. Every breeze becomes a gentle garden lullaby. Wind face musical notes. So go ahead, rescue those teacups from retirement. Your garden's waiting to be charmed. So, what's tall, wooden, a little rickety, and usually forgotten in the back of the shed? That's right, your old ladder. And no, I'm not suggesting you climb it, unless you're feeling brave, grinning face with smiling eyes. I'm talking about turning it into a vertical garden that will make your neighbors stop and stare. Clara, yep, our garden heroine, had one. Paint peeling, steps loose, spider webs galore. But instead of tossing it, she leaned it against her garden wall and started stacking potted plants on every step. Light bulb simple terracotta pots. A few bold marigolds, trailing petunias, and even some basil and thyme. Within days, it looked like a stairway to bloom heaven. Hibiscus herb. And here's the trick. Each step of the ladder becomes a mini stage. Tall plants go on top, trailing ones hang over the edges, and herbs. Oh, they love the sun up there. Sparkles want to take it up a notch. Wrap the sides in fairy lights. Come evening, that ladder glows like a magical totem of greenery. This one idea alone gives you more garden space without needing extra ground. Perfect for patios, balconies, or tiny backyards. So next time you trip over that old ladder, smile, because you've just discovered your garden's new centerpiece. Winking face. Alright, friend, it's time to head down memory lane, straight into your closet or garage. You know that old pair of rain boots? The ones with the cracked soles and faded colors, the pair nobody dares to wear anymore. Yep, those. Now, don't toss them just yet. Because in the world of whimsical gardening, even the most worn-out footwear has a second chance at life. And believe it or not, those boots are about to become the most eye-catching planters in your entire backyard. Seedling woman's boot. Clara, our fearless garden whisperer, had a pair of polka-dotted rubber boots from when her daughter was just 5 years old. The little girl had long since outgrown them, but Clara kept them anyway, tucked in a dusty box marked "Sentimental Stuff." One sunny afternoon, while rummaging for flower pots, Clara spotted the boots and had an idea that made her smile. Why not fill these with flowers? That small, spontaneous decision turned into a showstopper. She poked a few drainage holes in the soles, filled each boot with potting soil, and planted bright red geraniums inside. Then she placed them at the edge of her porch steps, with the toes pointing slightly outward, as if they were just taking a break from a long day in the garden. And would you believe it? People walking by stopped in their tracks. Some laughed. Some smiled. And everyone pulled out their phone for a picture. Those little boots told a story. Not just of plants, but of childhood memories, simple joys, and finding beauty in the unexpected. Now, let's break it down for you, because you can totally do this too. Blossom step by step, how to turn old boots into garden gold. Pick your pair. Any boots will do. Rain boots, cowboy boots, even hiking boots. The more character they have, the better. Scuffs, cracks, faded colors, they all add charm. Drainage is key. Use a screwdriver or drill to poke a few small holes in the soles. Plants hate soggy feet, ironic, right? So make sure water can escape. Add a base layer. Drop a bit of gravel or small pebbles into the toe area to improve drainage even more. Then fill the boot about 3/4 full with potting soil. Pick your plants. Smaller, shallow-rooted plants work best. Think pansies, petunias, marigolds, or even herbs like thyme and oregano. For extra flair, add a trailing plant like creeping jenny to cascade over the sides. Position for maximum wow. Place them along a path, at the foot of your stairs, or by your garden gate. Better yet, line up a few boots in a row, all planted differently. Instant personality. Artist palette want to make it even more fun? Paint them. Clara once hosted a boot painting party with her neighbors. Everyone brought a pair of old boots, grabbed some acrylic paints and brushes, and spent the afternoon turning footwear into fabulous art. One boot had sunflowers, another had smiley faces. A kid even painted a pair like ladybugs. When they were all done, they walked around the neighborhood and planted them in random front yards as surprise gifts. The smiles that followed? Pure magic. Smiling face with smiling eyes. Why it works? You see, the beauty of using boots, or anything unexpected, is that it gives your garden a story. Anyone can buy a flower pot. But when you repurpose something old, something personal, your garden starts to feel like you. It reflects your humor, your memories, your creativity. And honestly, it's fun. There's something freeing about not following the rules of traditional gardening. No symmetry required. No expensive containers. Just your imagination and a dash of daring. Plus, it's sustainable. Instead of adding more to the landfill, you're giving new life to things that would have been forgotten. That's what From Junk to Joy is all about. Speech balloon Clara's little reflection. One afternoon, as Clara watered the geraniums growing in her daughter's old boots, she said something I'll never forget. Every time I see these, I remember the sound of little feet stomping in puddles. And now, those memories bloom. Isn't that just beautiful? Sparkle's bonus ideas for shoe lovers. Oh yes, we're not stopping with boots. Sneakers as succulent planters, those old Converse or Vans. Perfect for tiny succulents. Stuff them with soil and place them on a windowsill or porch railing. Heels with herbs, yep, someone actually planted basil in a high heel. It was outrageous, and absolutely brilliant. Kids' shoes with fairy gardens, a little soil, a tiny mushroom figurine, maybe a fairy door on the toe. Instant fairy tale. By now, you've seen boots bloom, ladders rise with flowers, and teacups sing with succulents. But today, we're stepping into a whole new world, a place that smells like cinnamon, sounds like clinking metal, and holds memories of morning coffee and grandma's pie. That's right, we're heading straight into the kitchen, not to cook, but to garden. Cooking seedling. Let me ask you something. Do you have an old teapot? A rusted colander? Maybe a coffee tin that lost its lid years ago? Before you think about tossing them out, I want you to pause, and picture them filled with flowers, herbs, or tiny tomatoes, sitting proudly on your porch or windowsill. Sounds like a dream. Well, Clara thought so too. And once again, she turned junk into joy in the most charming way. Dizzy the tale of the singing teapot. Clara had a chipped blue teapot that had been in her family for generations. It didn't whistle anymore. The lid was cracked. But it had a little floral pattern on the side that still made her smile every time she saw it. For years, it sat unused in a cupboard. One spring morning, as she was planting lavender, she remembered the teapot. She brought it outside, filled it with soil, and tucked in a small rosemary plant. It was almost like the teapot exhaled, happy to be part of the home again. She placed it right on her garden table. And wouldn't you know? That little teapot became a conversation starter, a centerpiece, and a symbol of everything she loved about gardening: nostalgia, creativity, and rebirth. Fork and knife with plate from cabinet to garden, what works best? Let's take a little kitchen inventory, shall we? Here are some items hiding in plain sight that make perfect garden containers. Teapots and coffee pots. Small herbs like rosemary, thyme, or mint look delightful sprouting from a vintage kettle. Bonus points if you let the greenery spill from the spout like a leafy fountain. Metal colanders. These are garden genius. Why? Because they already have drainage holes. Line them with a bit of burlap or landscape fabric, fill with soil, and plant anything from strawberries to petunias. Hang them up or set them on your outdoor table, bam, instant charm. Coffee tins and cookie tins. A little rustic, a little retro, these are great for annuals or kitchen herbs. Paint them if you like, or leave the original design for vintage vibes. Just remember to poke some drainage holes in the bottom. Old muffin tins. Perfect for creating a mini succulent tray. Place a tiny plant in each muffin slot, fill with a bit of gravel and soil, and lay it flat like a floral sampler tray. Cast iron pans and pie plates. They're heavy, sturdy, and great for shallow-rooted plants like moss, succulents, or even pansies. Add rocks for drainage, and you've got a container that could survive a tornado. Artist palette: let's talk style, rustic, retro, or chic. Part of the fun with kitchen gardening is letting your personality show. Rustic charm. Use unpainted, dented, or rusty items straight out of the pantry. Color pop. Spray paint old tins in bright, cheerful colors, turquoise, yellow, coral, and mix them up for a playful look. Cottagecore magic. Pair floral teapots with lace doilies, old wooden crates, and climbing ivy. Add a little sign that says, Herb Garden, and you're officially living in a fairy tale. Herb the Grandma's Garden effect. One of Clara's most heartwarming projects came from her grandmother's kitchen. She found an old flour sifter and a tin measuring cup in a box marked, Granny's Baking Things. At first, she hesitated. Was it wrong to put dirt in something so sentimental? But then she smiled. Granny would have loved this, she whispered. She filled the flour sifter with soil and planted lemon balm inside. The measuring cup got a little mint sprig. Every time she walked by, she caught a whiff of citrus and remembered her grandmother kneading dough on a Sunday morning. That's the thing about these projects. They aren't just cute. They mean something. Hammer and wrench quick tips for kitchen planters that last. Drill carefully. Use a small drill bit to create drainage holes, especially for metals or ceramics. If that's not an option, add a thick layer of pebbles or charcoal at the bottom. Line sharp edges. For items like old cheese graters or pans with jagged rims, use landscape fabric or even a coffee filter inside to protect plant roots and your fingers. Water lightly. Many of these containers are small, so don't overdo it. A gentle misting or teaspoon of water every couple of days works wonders. Sparkle's bonus idea, the hanging kitchen garden. Feeling bold? Clara once made an entire vertical herb garden from old kitchen utensils. She nailed a wooden board to her fence, attached hooks, and hung up a whisk filled with Spanish moss, a ladle with trailing thyme, a cheese grater filled with marigolds, a row of vintage spoons as plant markers. The result? Garden art meets culinary charm. Party popper final thought for today. You see, your kitchen holds more than memories. It holds potential. And when you take something forgotten and give it a new role in the sunlight, you're not just gardening. You're telling a story. A story of resilience. Of creativity. Of joy found in the least expected places. Clara's garden didn't just grow flowers. It grew life, from colanders, kettles, and cookie tins. And yours can too. Red Heart, let's be honest, we all have that one drawer. You know the one. The land of misfit things. Random keys. Old measuring tapes. Broken earrings. Bent spoons. A mystery remote, what did it even go to? But what if I told you, that very drawer is hiding the next big garden idea? Clara once dumped her junk drawer out on the kitchen table. It looked like chaos, until she saw the possibility. She took a few of those bent spoons and used a paint pen to write plant names on them: basil, mint, rosemary. Then she stuck them into pots as custom plant markers. Instant charm. She strung broken keys on twine and wrapped them around a planter. Now it looked like a rustic wind chime. And that old remote? Okay, she finally threw that one out, faced with tears of joy. Here's your mission. Dig into your junk drawer. Look for things you can label, dangle, repurpose, or paint. That junk? It's waiting to be joy. You've seen picture frames on walls. But have you seen them in flower beds? One day, Clara found an old wooden frame in her attic, no glass, no backing, just the frame. Instead of tossing it, she placed it flat on the ground, laid a square of soil inside it, and planted colorful ground cover. It looked like a living painting. Cherry Blossom Artist Palette. She later hung a larger frame from a tree and dangled tiny pots of trailing plants from the top edge. Suddenly, she had a floating garden window, no walls required. Old window panes make magical vertical herb gardens. Just add tiny containers to the panes, or mount mason jars along the wood. You get sunlight, style, and structure, all at once. Furniture in a garden. Oh yes. And it's gorgeous. Clara had a broken wooden chair with no seat. Most folks would have tossed it, but she had a better idea. She filled a basket with flowers and set it where the seat used to be. It looked like the chair was growing blossoms. Another time, she rescued an old metal bed frame from the side of the road. She painted it white, stuck it in her backyard, and let climbing roses weave through the rails. It became a garden bed in the truest sense. Rose bed. So before you throw out that wobbly stool or squeaky chair, ask yourself, what if this became a planter? Now we're going big. Grinning face with smiling eyes. These aren't just accents, they're statements. Clara's famous bicycle planter. That was just the beginning. One day, someone gave her an old birdcage, rusty and ornate. She cleaned it up, lined the bottom with moss, and planted ferns and violets inside. She hung it from a tree, and it looked like a floating fairy garden. Woman fairy. And yes, she even turned a bathtub into a raised flower bed. She painted it robin's egg blue, filled it with rich soil, and planted lavender, cosmos, and snapdragons. It looked like flowers were overflowing from a storybook dream. When you find something bold, don't hide it, highlight it. Use color. Use lighting. Make it the heart of your garden. And now, we've come full circle. Rainbow. You've walked with Clara through boots and teapots, junk drawers and birdcages. You've seen how the forgotten and the broken can bloom with beauty and soul. But the truth is, this isn't really about chairs or keys or even flowers. It's about you. It's about remembering that everything, even the chipped, dusty, tossed aside parts of life, can be turned into something meaningful. Something beautiful. Something alive. So the next time you're holding something old and wondering, should I throw this away? Pause. Look again. Ask yourself, could this bring joy to my garden? Because in your hands, friend, even junk can become a masterpiece. Sunflower. You don't have to do it all today. Just pick one idea. One boot. One teacup. One rusty spoon. Start there. And soon, your garden won't just be a space. It'll be a story. One only you could tell.